Well, hello, hello, hello. It's Teresa Sanderson. Super excited to connect with you today. Today, we're talking about from burnout to balance, how to keep nurses in the profession. So, thank you for tuning in today. It's one thing I believe we all know to talk about the issues, challenges, problems, struggles that exist within the nursing profession, right? It is a very different thing to talk about how do we move through those challenges? How do we address those problems and issues and struggles so that we move forward into creating a better future for nursing? That's what I want to talk about with you today. So, I believe, just in a quick summary, that we all know a few things. We know that we have a nursing retention crisis. We know that at the root of that crisis, things that are causing nursing turnover and nurses to leave the profession altogether are things like burnout and compassion fatigue, as well as toxic work environments, lack of support from leadership, lack of mentorship, right? These are things that we know. But what actually keeps nurses in their career? That's really the direction I want to go today. What actually would keep nurses in their profession, satisfied in their roles, and feeling as if they were making a meaningful, valuable contribution to society and the world? I believe that number one, career growth and autonomy are things that really impact nurse well-being and their satisfaction with their careers. Nurses truly want more than a paycheck. They want to know, how can I advance in my career? How can I perform at my best level? And that kind of thing. So it's really important for nurses to have avenues to be creative, whether that be as an intrapreneur, perhaps, or even an entrepreneur working outside of the hospital setting. It's very interesting what can happen when a nurse is allowed to be creative and industrious and innovative, because the nurses are the ones who are they're closest to the problems that they're experiencing. They're the ones who see solutions. So we should be looking to them for innovation, inspiration, and for them to be able to take initiative without feeling like, oh my goodness, I could lose my job if I started this other thing, if I do this other thing that may advance our profession. Also, when we think about career growth and autonomy, we cannot discount the importance of mentorship and strong preceptorship of our new nurses that come to work within our healthcare organizations. It is the average cost to hire and train a new nurse is anywhere from $60,000 to $100,000. We know that to replace one nurse, it takes somewhere between 85 and 110 days. That's a lot of waiting for the seasoned nurses who are waiting for a new team member to be hired. Then there's the training time, okay? The cost of turnover alone is about $56,000. So when you look at all of the money that we spend in turnover, hiring, training, couldn't we invest instead some of that money toward retaining our nurses, ensuring they have good mentorship programs, ensuring that they have time to learn and that their preceptors also have time to train them, okay? Just looking at things a different way. Supportive workplace culture is another thing that's vitally important to keeping nurses in their roles. I'll say it again for anybody who hasn't heard it. Recruiting new nurses to work, hiring and recruiting new nurses to work in the same toxic environments that others are leaving is not going to help. This is not going to resolve the problem. We have to fix the fundamental problem of nursing culture. We have to draw a line in the sand once and for all and say, behaviors of bullying and incivility have zero tolerance. We have a zero tolerance for those behaviors within our healthcare organizations. Nurses deserve to be treated and also must expect to be treated as the professionals that they are, okay? We must create supportive workplace culture where new nurses can plant themselves and grow. This is what it's going to take. Peer support networks, mentorship communities, and leadership training are also going to be helpful in creating a supportive workplace culture. Another thing that would keep nurses in the game is work-life balance and mental health resources. When I experienced major depression myself in 2010, I really didn't know where to find my resources. Somehow I knew that I was an impaired nurse because I was mentally ill and experiencing true clinical depression. And I self-reported myself to the nurse assistance program, because how my depression showed up for me was that I was somehow immobile, and I couldn't make split second decisions like many times nurses have to do when we're working in the ER, working in ICU, have a patient with a sudden change in condition. All of a sudden, if I was stressed, I would become immobilized and unable to act. Okay. That would not be good in any patient care situation. So I wanted to take care of my license, and I reported myself to our nurse assistance program, which I have to say was a positive experience for me. I hear a lot of times nurses have a lot of trouble with their with working with their boards of nursing, but for me it was a positive experience, and I hope that will be the same for many nurses in the future. But the fact that I didn't know about any mental health resources was such a shame, because truly nurses can ask for things like reasonable accommodation that we don't know about. If we need a mental health day, that truly may be something that could be built into a an accommodation plan through human resources. I had no idea of any of this until I was unable to work for 3 years. And then I learned so much about resources and support for those with mental illness. So work-life balance, yes, nurses need that. Nurses need to be able to feel like they are thriving both personally and professionally. If my personal life is being sacrificed for my professional career, that's not going to work for the long term. That is not sustainable. So we need work-life balance, and we need to be able to provide our nurses with opportunities that fit within where they are within their life at this time. We need to be thinking again about nurses as the holistic creatures that they are. They're providing holistic care, and we should also care for them in a holistic way. So not every shift is going to be suitable for every nurse, depending on their particular station in life, right? Whether or not they're maybe newly married or have a young child, or maybe they're a older, more mature nurse who is taking care of aging parents. We're all going to need different things at different times in our lives. And the current system of scheduling for nurses is pretty rigid. It's very rigid, and it doesn't allow for the life happenings that occur for all of us along the continuum of life. We need to start looking at scheduling differently. Again, this all goes back to daring to do nursing differently altogether. Peer support, mentorship programs, all of these things are important. But we want to move into creating a future for nursing that involves a different level of support, and that allows nurses to move from feeling isolated, insecure, and unappreciated to feeling empowered and supported by their community. So, and that is where the Thriving Nurse Network steps up as a solution. Nurses Feed Their Young is so excited to be launching Thriving Nurse Network very, very soon, so that nurses don't have to rely on broken systems to create a support system or find a support system that works for them. The Thriving Nurse Network is a community that is built by nurses for nurses to provide mentorship, resources, and community so that you can build a sustainable career on your own terms. If you want to learn more about it, I encourage you just to click the link below this video. Learn more about Thriving Nurse Network by getting on our priority notification list. You will be the first to know when our community goes live, so that we can begin supporting each other and create a better future for nursing. See you soon. Bye-bye.